What? You had a fucking cheat day? What kind of shit is that? I don't cheat. You shouldn't cheat. No, you shouldn't have a fucking cheat day. I'm perfect. I don't cheat. Why the fuck should you cheat? You don't eat bad shit. It's unhealthy. You're gonna fucking die. And shit. As I stated in my previous video, I had a cheat day while I was up in Alexandria Bay, New York. As for why I did it, the restaurant had little to no keto foods. I kind of was in a vacation-y mood. Something about being in a touristy town made me feel that way, and I wanted to try out the restaurant and see if I liked the shitty foods that they had. It's not something I do very often. I do regret it to one degree or another. But the whole purpose of this video is to help you if you are on the fence on whether or not you should even bother having a cheat day. I've done videos on this subject in the past, but I don't think I ever went over in detail exactly the things that you should think about before you decide to have a cheat day. I think I've talked about how to go about having a cheat day, and I'll reiterate some of that here. But I wanted to make a video that you could watch whenever you're thinking about cheating. And maybe by the end of the video, you'll decide to not do it. Or maybe by the end of the video, you might say, fuck it. I don't know. It all depends on your thought process. We're all a little different in this regard. Some of the optimal health motherfuckers will be like, no, you can't cheat ever. You can't. And some of more sensible, not optimal health motherfuckers will be like, look, I just know I got to recover after a cheat day and I'll be fine. And then there's some people who just can't because of addiction reasons, or a tendency to binge and do all of these things. So we're all a little different in this regard. So take from this video what you will. I'm just going to kind of share my personal guidelines on whether or not to have a cheat day. As you know, I kind of have a 3-week rule, as in it has to have been 3 weeks from my last cheat day. So first I want to talk about what happened when I had this cheat day. What did I have? What didn't I have is more important. And what did it result in? I had chicken riggies, which are pretty much a pasta dish. They're kind of spicy with some chicken mixed in. No breading or anything, just the pasta being the source. And I also had some mozzarella sticks, which do have breading, all of which cooked in unhealthy fats and all of that. This was not a healthy meal, and I knew it. I knew I was doing damage. All but a little bit. Dose determines the poison to my progress, to my liver, to my overall health. But it's damage that isn't permanent because I'm not doing it very often, and it's damage that can be repaired. However, there's fine print there. And the fine print is you're going to undo up to 2 or 3 weeks, in some cases, progress in one cheat meal. And it won't happen right away. It might take 48 hours for this to manifest itself in weight gain and bloat. And depending on how bad your cheat meal, if it becomes, if you go range from cheat snack all the way up to cheat fucking binge day, where you try and eat every fucking forbidden food that you can in that one day, and you end up not only overeating, but overeating sugar, overeating carbs. That is not the kind of cheat day I'm talking about. I'm talking about you sat down and you ate a meal and you didn't give a fuck whether or not it was in your diet, and you tried to avoid sugar. That's the kind of cheat meal that I'm talking about. Because I still think sugar is probably the worst offender when it comes to food, followed closely by white grain pasta, all the fast, high glycemic carbs that, we're really not designed to eat. And that caused problems. So I had this meal. I did not have dessert with it. It was just the meal and a cup of coffee with my artificial sweetener for dessert. And that was it. That was it for that day. It did drive down my energy initially, and I did feel a little bit of my allergy resurge. As far as when I was outside, I started to get a little itchy, scratchy in the eye department, maybe a little nasally, which, tells me that I assaulted my gut. First by the glyphosate issue, which is very heavy in grain, because a lot of farmers use it to dry out their crops, kill off before the harvest type deal, and they pour that shit right the fuck on there, and that's what's in your bread and in your pastas and in all of that shit, unless it's organic. And then even still, you're still getting some glyphosate that way. But I do know that glyphosate is the biggest offender when it comes to gut health and autoimmune issues and allergies. So I knew I was getting a nice healthy dose of the shit, which is almost unavoidable no matter what your diet is. It's just a matter of trying to minimize the dosage. So I had the meal, my energy dropped, I went and did my thing. You saw in the video what I did. And then that was it. The next day I felt fine. I did have a little bit of a downswing in the mood department in the day or two that followed, but it wasn't very super pronounced. I hopped right back into the ketogenic diet afterwards. I gained 3.5 pounds after 2 days after this cheat meal. I got kicked completely out of ketosis. In fact, I just tested 5 days later. I've tested, and I'm still pissing negative on ketones. So I kicked myself out of ketosis. I'm still, as far as I know, I don't even think I'm back in ketosis yet. Which means not only did I build up my glycogen to a level where my liver wouldn't produce, wouldn't produce ketones to where I became a carb burner for a limited amount of time. And I'm slowly probably drifting back towards ketosis. I haven't been doing serious fasting because I also know that cheat meal disrupts all of my systems. My apostat, the thing that regulates your metabolism, gets disrupted, and you end up hungrier than you should be. And so when I'm hungry, I eat the keto, and that fills me up and it keeps me full for longer periods of time. You can get sucked into that whole keep eating your cheat days, cheat after cheat, because motherfucking you're hungry and you're craving. I didn't really suffer much in the way of cravings from doing this, but overall I undid a whole, that's 3 pounds that I have to lose now. And it's falling back off on its own, even though I'm not doing anything aggressive in the fasting department. I'm doing ADF, followed by some normal keto, followed by ADF, and alternate, basically my maintenance protocol, alternate day fat fasting. And it's my weight slowly, very slowly creeping back to my set point, which is in the mid 190s, low 190s. 194 to 196 is where I hover. So it's going back down, but it's taking a while, and you know, some people will notice this and panic and feel like shit and not realize what they have to do to fix these things. So that's what we need to go over. First of all, what to expect if you're going to cheat. There's two parts I want to cover. I want to see what do you expect to happen, what's probably going to happen to you if you're on a ketogenic diet and you cheat, and what your body will do in response, and how it will undo some of your hard work. And, you know, this will help you ask yourself, do you really want to have a fucking cheat day? So, first of all, you're going to feel like shit. Now, by feel like shit, there's a spectrum. It could either be, you know, you feel like complete dog shit, gotta lay down, take a nap, you know, basically the way you used to feel that you didn't really notice that much, but you notice it now. On the standard American diet, where you need a nap later in the afternoon, you have no energy, your body aches, you feel run down, you feel like just a complete crash of energy. Sometimes, if you overdid it, you feel nauseous because your body is in fat burning mode and you overloaded it with carbs and sugar, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? And you start to feel a little bit of nausea, you feel sick. You may have noticed during the meal that anything you ate that was sugary just tasted obnoxiously sweet to the point where you didn't enjoy it at all. You know, these are all things to take into account that you're going to put yourself through just for the sake of eating this little pleasurable cheat meal. In my case, the meal was good, I enjoyed it, but there were significant, noticeable consequences that I have to deal with for almost a week since I fucking cheated. Which is why I don't advocate cheating very often, if at all. You know, the longer you can go, the better. 3 weeks minimum, in my book. If you haven't fat adapted, you shouldn't be cheating at all, by the way. If you haven't done your 6 weeks initial strict keto diet, you should not have a cheat day until after you finish that. So also, number 2, you're going to regain water weight. And it's a massive amount of water weight. It's not a reason to panic. You're going to be bloated. You're going to gain water weight. This is unavoidable. When you first do it, you'll be extra bloated. Then, as you store the glycogen, that water weight will shift into your glycogen storage, and you will have to just be content with the fact that you could gain 4 pounds, 8 pounds. You'll know that you're gaining water weight because you'll be thirsty a lot, you'll be drinking a lot of water, and you won't be pissing much. And that's because your body's using the water to store the glycogen. At first, it's inflammation causing the bloat, because definitely grains, sugars, carbs, you know, the refined carbs, the really bad standard American diet shit, the vegetable oils, all of that is going to inflame you. And you're definitely going to see bloat in response to that. It's like your body's swelling up to as part of the process of inflammation to heal. So it's not fun. It's definitely not a fun time after you've had your meal. You might enjoy the meal, but you're going to pay the price afterwards. It goes without saying that if you consume more than 100 grams of carbs in your cheat day, you will fill up your liver glycogen and kick yourself out of ketosis and become a carb burner. Much like if you consume alcohol, this is why I got carb burners that argue this. They're always like, well, your body prefers carbs. Well, actually, your body prefers alcohol, which is also a macronutrient, and it will burn that first. Does that mean it's fucking good for you? Well, it's the same thing with carbs. When you have too many carbs in your body shifts to a carb burning metabolism to get the carbs gone. I think fat burning is our natural state. I feel great. I feel at my best when I am fat adapted and sticking to my diet and keto and just completely, in the zone, both mentally, physically. The energy's there. It's so much better. Just like not being drunk is better. If you I'm equating carbs with alcohol because there's like a hierarchy of how the body preferentially burns the excess energy off. If you drink excess alcohol, the body's going to store everything else as fat and work on burning the alcohol or converting it to fat. If you eat carbs, the carbs are next in that line of we got to fucking do something with all these carbs because they can't just let them sit in the blood. So what's the body do? Fills up the glycogen, which is limited, very limited, and then spills over into fat. And it's not hard to do that on the standard American diet. So unless you're a marathon runner who's running marathons right after they eat, or, maybe you well, I wouldn't say running it before you eat because you're still going to store anything in excess of your glycogen storage once your glycogen fills up. But it's rough on your body to do this carb up, and then burn it off, carb up, burn it off syndrome. And we've been doing that for years as a model for weight loss, and it's been complete horse shit. The moment you stop, your metabolism's fucked and you regain all the weight. But that's a whole other video and shit. So you can also expect to take 3 to 5 days before you get back into ketosis, before, 5 days if you're not fasting at all, 3 if you're heavy on the fasting or highly physically active. So that's time that you're not making progress. You're not going to really make progress till not only do you get back into fat burning mode, but until you burn off the fat that you created during the cheat meal. And make no mistake, if you ate a 1,500, 2,000 calorie cheat meal, you more than likely created some extra fat that day that you don't get to touch until after you return to ketosis. You don't get to burn it off. You got to burn off all that glycogen you just put in your fucking liver and your muscles. And then, last but not least, if you have had problems in the past with autoimmune disease, if you've had problems with allergies, if you've had problems with depression, anxiety, these are all things that will almost immediately be affected by a cheat meal. I've had cheat meals that have caused massive mood swings, that have caused anxiety, that have caused depression. That have caused some of the more manic episodes as well. And that's that's part of the deal. These are things that you're going to deal with if you choose to have a cheat day. So basically then it comes down to, what should you ask yourself before you say, yes, I'm going to have a cheat day, or no, the fuck I'm not? First thing you should ask is it fucking worth it? I mean, do you want to go through all of this? Is that meal really that fucking good? It better be. It better be the best fucking cheat meal you ever had. That means you don't waste your cheat meal going to McDonald's. You don't grab that box of Pop-Tarts in the store. You make that cheat meal count. It better be a special ass fucking dinner that you don't get access to very often. That, just, it has to be worth it. And that's subjective, but for me, I want it to be something good. Something I really enjoy, that I don't get access to very often, that I don't eat very often, and that isn't, wasteful. Like going to McDonald's and having a cheat day is just plain stupid. I would never do that. Going to a nice fancy restaurant, enjoying a chef-prepared meal with possibly a dessert, but like I said, I avoid the sugar, but I do know that not everyone's going to do that. Make it worth it. Don't waste your cheat day frivolously. Don't have a piece of your grocery store cake at a party. and think, oh, okay, I cheated. Or a slice of shitty, pizza. Especially since you can have most of the enjoyment of pizza without breaking the ketogenic diet. The next question you should ask yourself before you cheat: when was the last time you fucking cheated? If you cheated within the past 5 to 7 days, you might want to think about not doing it, because then you'll start to pile up. You won't have fully recovered from your previous cheat day before you start your next cheat day. And that is, I see so many people struggle that cheat. And cheating comes in many forms. If you're going out drinking a lot and like I see people, I'm keto, and they're drinking beer. Hello, even if that's low carb beer, and you drink it every day, you're not fucking keto, or you're loading up on wine every day. These things add up. It's already hard enough to keep your carbs down, just being strict with vegetables and all of that. When you start doing these extra things, which are low carb in and of themselves, they still add up. And if you add up past your personal carb tolerance, which is a little different for all of us, that's when you will start to notice that you plateau, you start gaining weight on keto. These are all things, there's lots of hidden carbs that we have to be vigilant to avoid. So don't cheat often. Keep it to special occasions. And I mean special occasions that don't happen very often. I don't mean everybody you know's birthday, because there's a birthday every month, depending on how social you are. I know for me, there's at least 2 to 3 birthdays of friends of mine or acquaintances of mine a month. And if I ate shit at all of those, I would be a mess. Ask yourself if you're willing to take the time to recover. My worst cheat experience was a cheat day where I had 2 meals that were completely standard American diet plus sugar. This was way back in my carb cycling days. And I can tell you it took me 3 weeks to get back to where I was before those two meals and the sugary shit that I ate later in the day. It was a complete cheat binge. And it took me 3 weeks just to get back to where I was at the moment before I started cheating. Are you willing to do that? Do you really want to have to spend the next 3 weeks just to get to where you've already gotten? And repeat that cycle over and over and over again? It's something to think about. Are you easily, this is an important question, are you easily re-addicted to sugar, to carbs? Pasta is addictive. Pizza is addictive. Sugar is addictive. These are all foods designed to stimulate your dopamine system and cause that reward, to cause that pleasure. Grains can have an opioid-like effect on you. I don't know if you've known that, but it's in the literature. And sugar obviously can stimulate the same parts of the brain that cocaine stimulates. So if you think it's not a drug, it is a drug. And if you're prone to addiction, and I believe I fall in that category, which is why I'm avoiding the sugar more so than, it's not that I'm unwilling or unable to undo the damage of an occasional sugary day. It's that I am prone to want more of it if I eat it. Pasta, not so bad. I'm able to go long periods of time without desiring it. But sugar, I know I can get sucked right back into that addiction, much like alcohol. Do you have the urge to binge? Are you saying tomorrow's a cheat day and I'm going to eat every fucking thing I can and then some? And then 2 hours later going to eat more of the shit? No. If that is, you ask yourself that question and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do all of that. Fuck yeah, that's a binge. It's a cheat day. I ain't wasting that shit. If that's your mentality, you shouldn't have a cheat day. Because then you're going into it and you could, like I said, do 2 to 3 weeks of damage instead of just 4 or 5 days worth of damage. That's important to really think about. because you'll be kicking yourself. You'll be feeling like shit. I get messages and emails of people saying, I've been off the wagon for 3 days and I'm, regained 15 pounds and I'm miserable and I'm upset. That's how it starts, is with those binge days. You can't have them. You don't need them. You can enjoy a cheat meal, or better yet, a cheat snack, without destroying yourself, which is exactly what a binge. So if you're prone to binges, you need to deal with that to a point where you won't binge. Force yourself to limit your cheat day to a meal, to a reasonable meal. Don't sit down and eat a whole fucking pizza, a slice of pizza. That's a cheat day, along with some of your normal foods. Cheat day. That's it. And, you gotta be careful, because this is a slippery slope you're dancing on. You're walking around on the cliff with your one fucking leg hanging over the edge of it going, let's see, I'm dangling, and you could fall. And the last thing that you should ask yourself before you have a cheat day is, are you going to regret it? If you've had cheat days and you feel like miserable and depressed and ashamed of yourself for the next week or so, do you want to go through that again? Look at, the previous cheat days you've had. How did you feel afterwards? Did you regret them, or were you glad you had them? Some people have come to terms with occasionally having carb up cheat days, eating what the fuck they want to eat on those days. So you got to come to terms with the mental aspect of it. Some people worked really hard to lose a lot of weight, so when they have that cheat day, they feel extra guilty, extra miserable, extra depressed, extra anxiety. They see the scale pop up for the next week afterwards, and they feel like a piece of shit because they had their cheat meal. If I just described how you feel afterwards, then you really should think about that before you cheat, not afterwards. And that'll help you make a decision on whether or not to actually have a fucking cheat meal. That leaves recovery. What do you do after you done fucking did it? It's a little different for everyone. It really depends. But I would just treat it like you were starting out a ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting for the first time, which is spend a week, not fasting, by the way, eating keto normally. And the reason I say do that, right, I would advise you to do that, or I choose to do that, is because that cheat day, depending on how bad it was, is going to throw off your hunger levels. It's going to throw off your hormones. It's going to cause you to, basically be hungrier than you should be for your energy expenditure. So you need to tell your body you got plenty of energy coming in, and you might put on a pound, you might put on 2 pounds during this 1 week period, depending on how crazy if you're crazy hungry after your cheat day, you're still going to overeat on keto, and you're still going to put on a little bit of weight, but your metabolism will start to put a stop to that. It will normalize again. It'll normalize a lot quicker since you're already fat adapted. If you're not fat adapted, you're starting from scratch, go 6 weeks, and then you can start to implement fasting. But if you are already fat adapted, you had a cheat day, then you can do, a week of just normal keto. Eat when you're hungry, don't eat when you're not hungry, stop eating when you're full type things. Give yourself time to get full. It takes 20 minutes for your body to realize you've had enough. So space out before you get seconds or dessert or whatever. And if you're still hungry, then yes, have more. And that's how you got to eat intuitively for that week. Then you can shift to whatever fasting protocol you were doing before you had the cheat day. If you're looking to continue your weight loss, or if you're doing maintenance, do a maintenance fasting protocol. Or you can even go and do a longer fast if that's your thing. Just be careful with the water fasting, because you can drop your metabolism after 4 or 5 days. And then you have to repair your metabolism and hope you don't regain the weight. Fat fasting is still what I would advise if you want to avoid the metabolic drop during a 5 to 7 day fast. Because water fasting, you're almost guaranteed to do it. And the longer you do a water fast, the more that drop, significant that drop is. And that's been documented on multiple studies. You can just ask Stephen Finney about that. He loves showing that slide. If during your recovery period you experience the symptoms of keto flu, you likely lost your fat adaptation, or you never had it to begin with when you had your cheat day. So if you jump back onto keto, you get the reduced energy, you feel weak, you feel lethargic, you feel nauseous. These are all things that can crop up. You need to fat adapt again, which means you need to eat intuitively keto and strictly for 6 weeks. Once you do the 6 weeks, then you'll really be thinking, hey, do I want to do another cheat day? Look what I just went through after the last one. But that's really where you're at. So if you experience keto flu, you really overdid it and destroyed your fat adaptation. As in, your body is like, oh, we got all carbs now all the time. We're good again. We're going to switch our metabolism back over. We're going to turn off all those fat burning enzymes. It's going to do all of this shit and shut the shit down and go back to being a carb burner because you have too much fucking carbs in your system. But what the fuck do I know, eh? Because I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. Let's see what the email of the day is. Dan writes, so I have been doing keto and have dropped over 160 pounds. However, this last month I'm starting to show signs of getting cold and becoming very hungry. That means your metabolism dropped, by the way. When you're getting fucking cold and you're getting fucking hungry all the time and you're not eating till you're full, chances are your metabolism is going to drop. You have to listen to your body when you're keto because your body is going to be telling you the proper thing to do if you are expending too much energy and not taking in enough energy. And that's one of the things you got to keep an eye on, especially if you're doing some more aggressive fasts. So like a 4-hour eating window, it's hard to cram your daily energy needs into that 4-hour eating window on keto because you'll fill up really quickly. Wondering if anyone has an idea that is happening now? Nothing really has changed. I do 20/4, that's 20-hour fast with a 4-hour eating window as well. Just this week did my first 72-hour fast, thinking maybe I should try paleo for a while. So you were already experiencing these symptoms and you did a 72-hour fast. Now, a 72-hour water fast is you're going to start to lower your metabolism after 72 hours. If you were already, your body was already thinking it's starving before you did that, it's just going to make it a little worse. You need to do a period of time of normal ketogenic eating and ramp up that metabolism, even if it means you're going to regain some weight or gain, 4 or 5 pounds before you plateau going up. Then once you plateau going up, then you know that you're clear. You can start doing the fasting again and try and move the needle on your plateau if you have a plateau. This second email, because that email is kind of easy and short to deal with, is from Jay Fowler. Love your videos and appreciate the knowledge you have acquired and share throughout your journey. I do have a question, possibly enough for a video. I've been keto for a couple of months and I'm having a hard time lowering my set point, even though I have 100 extra pounds to burn through. I've only been able to lower my set point about 5 pounds thus far by doing a 5-day fat fast. I have maintained this loss after refeeding. And fat fasting is pretty good for not lowering your metabolism. And you'll know after the refeed, if you didn't regain all the weight, you likely will keep that weight loss. And the other thing I want to comment on before I continue is you've only been at it, according to this, for a couple of months. That's not a long time. You can't be in a hurry for this shit. You really have to take your time. All right? You didn't gain that 100 pounds in a couple of months. it's going to be slow and steady. It's about fixing your health. It is not about how many pounds you can shed as quickly as possible. And in some instances, in order to take a step forward, you may have to take a step back. Like I addressed in the previous email, you might need to do a reverse dieting situation with keto where you ramp your metabolism up before you do a more aggressive fast. And if you do, the reason I paired these two emails together, if you do it the way the other person that sent the email got their weight loss, you could end up in that same place where your metabolism's tanked. Don't be in a hurry. Take your time. Now, fat fasting is a great tool, and I highly recommend it. But not, keep in mind the rule that I follow when I do that is for every, like say I did a 5-day fat fast, I would do 5 days of normal keto eating with no fasting per se, which generally works out to a 16 and 8 eating, intermittent fasting routine. But that's just because I'm never hungry in the morning. So I don't eat when I'm not hungry. I eat intuitively when I'm recovering from a fast. So just make sure you're doing the refeeds appropriately as well. I am wondering, since fat fasting seems to be successful as watering fasting, could it be used as a tool with ADF and keto and IF for the purposes of fat loss? Would ADF using fat fasting parameters be more successful than a 3 or 5 days solid fat fast for getting the set point lowered? Or would ADF using water fasting be superior to fat fasting? ADF is my maintenance protocol, but it might still work for you. Ultimately, it comes down to experimentation. Try it for a week. What happens? Do you resume weight loss? Do you move the needle? If not, then you go to the next more aggressive fasting protocol. Just do the minimum fasting necessary to get the maximum results for you. Obviously, if you do a long fast, you're going to have maximum results, but it doesn't make sense to pull out the big guns to fight the war when the little guns are getting the job done. So by all means, do shorter fasts, do ADF, and see what it does. For me personally, I'm at the bottom end. I'm at my plateau. I'm at my set point. And any fasting I do is going to have to be aggressive to first lose the weight, and then it's the game of how not to regain the weight and yet get my metabolism to that point where it's balanced again. And that's what trying to lower your set point is. You're trying to reduce the chance of regaining the weight by shifting your metabolism up in such a way as to not make a lot of fat in the process, and training your body to be balanced at a lower body fat percentage. And that's, the older we are, the harder that is. The more metabolically damaged we are. If we're diabetic or have those kinds of issues, the set point's going to be higher. You're not necessarily going to hit your high school weight. First of all, you might have more fucking muscle than you did in high school, so there's that. But you're not a young 20-year-old anymore, or an 18-year-old, or any of these young kids out there you see that are eating their face off unhealthily and somehow manage to keep their figure, so to speak. Trust me, when they hit their late 20s, early 30s, 40s, some of them already do it now in their lower 20s and hit that wall of health. To think that we can just go back in time, it's not a thing. You do the best you can. And ultimately, if you feel better, if your energy levels are good, your biomarkers are improved, you don't have high blood pressure, your A1C's in the normal range, you're having no reason that you go to the doctor and he's like, "You're good, I like you, no pills today." That is what you're shooting for here. You're not, the weight loss is just a side effect, of getting healthy. the healthier you are, your weight will come down. And there are some people metabolically healthy and still overweight or obese. 20% of obese individuals are metabolically healthy. That means they don't have that visceral fat. This is about dealing with the unhealthy fat. As I've said in the past, the ketogenic diet isn't necessarily a weight loss diet. It just repairs your hormonal system to the point where your body regulates your energy intake and your energy outgo properly. So if you do a lot of physical shit, you're going to be hungrier. You're not going to get full as quickly. If you sit on your ass all day, you're not going to be as hungry, and you'll fill up really quickly when you eat. This is how your body maintains homeostasis. That's where your body's at that normal fucking level of energy and doesn't skew one way or another. That is what the ketogenic diet does for you. And the thing is it often corrects a years and years of this vicious fucking self-sustaining, self-defeating cycle that caused you to gain the weight in the first place, and then you end up losing the weight because it brings you back down to a more healthy level of energy balance. As in, your body realizes that, you know, it can see it's leptin again. It knows you got a lot of body fat, so it tries to burn off that body fat. But if it thinks that at any moment, if it senses a deprivation or a deficiency, like it sees you're burning shit tons of calories and not taking a whole lot in, your metabolism will respond accordingly. And that's the game we play when we get to the lower end of our weight loss, when we plateau. And you may even plateau more than once on your journey. But the important thing to know is this is not a quick thing. This is not a get thin, quick, easy sell. What I can say is you'll feel better. You won't need medications eventually. If that was one of the things you're dealing with, you will see massive health improvements, massive emotional improvements, and you will see better energy, better clarity. You know, you won't be dominated by thoughts of food every couple hours like a lot of people are. You will feel, look, and be healthier. And that's really the goal here. Bottom line, experiment. You know, you've done this years and years of yo-yo dieting. Be patient with this one. This is not a fast one, and that's the problem with it too, that people don't see fast results, so they quit. You know, some people do get fast results, don't get me wrong, but there is a group of people out there who lose weight at a very slow rate on a ketogenic diet and plateau easily on it. There's a lot of factors that go into that: hidden carbs, eating shitty, you know, the dirty keto, you know, there's all kinds of things that could be done wrong on a ketogenic diet that could cause you to plateau or to gain weight. You just got to be vigilant. You got to be careful. You got to experiment. You got to test things out. Do your homework and shit. So if you really want to know what ADF's going to do for you, or alternate day fat fasting, the best way to test that out is to test that out on yourself. You know, that's how I discovered fat fasting for myself. You know, I had read briefly about it in the Atkins book. And then, you know, I watched some Walter Longo videos on his fasting mimicking diet, which doesn't quite follow a fat fasting protocol. You know, it allows for protein and carbs. Where I say a fat fast is pure fat and water, you know, and that's it. And when I did my 7-day fat fast, that worked out great. It was a pound a day of weight loss, just like a water fast. And I didn't regain all the weight back after. Whereas previously, when I'd done longer water fasts, I regained all of that weight. So if you found this video helpful, enlightening, entertaining in any fucking way, head to ScottTheTruckDriver.com, leave a tip in the fucking tip jar, and I'll make more of this shit. Also, like and subscribe and hit the motherfucking bell if you want to know whenever I put some shit out. You guys have been pretty good with that. I think YouTube's keeping up with that, because it seems like when I put a video out, you guys get on it right away and start watching it. I am tending to leave more space in between videos, because I did get a few people saying my videos are too long, so I give you a little more time to consume them before I pump out the next video. That awkward moment when you're talking to your camera and somebody parks right next to you. Finding a place to vlog today was a bit of a challenge. There was a lot of motherfuckers here and shit. I really need to start getting more comfortable vlogging in front of people. It just might be unavoidable in my travels. So once again, just to reiterate, I'm not a fucking expert. I'm just a fucking asshole. If you can go without a cheat day, go without a cheat day. But ultimately, the decision's up to you. I'm getting a lot of good comments on the minimalism video, so in the next video I will be addressing some of those emails and messages you guys have been leaving. It's been an interesting topic, and I want to have further discussion on it, and there's people a lot of curious, there was some good questions on, what to do, how to go about this, that kind of stuff, and I think I need to start covering that a little more and elaborating a little more than I have been on that topic. How am I surviving out here? How am I making it work? And what did I do in preparation before I did this? Clearly I was making good money before I started this journey, and that's kind of one of the foundations of it. But we'll get into that in the next motherfucking video and shit. Have a nice motherfucking day. Shit. It was a fucking pain in the ass. I went all over fucking town looking for a nice place to vlog. I ended up just sitting in this fucking car because I had fucking construction at the first place. I couldn't park. Then I went to the other park. It was just fucking full of crowded motherfuckers. I didn't want to sit there and vlog in front of motherfuckers. And just sucked. I'm going to have to figure this vlogging out in the world shit out. Or I'll just go back to the fucking green screen and shit. Or maybe I'll just sit in the fucking car and talk to you. Or something. I gotta figure that shit out. It's all about learning and growing and shit.